Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Sebastian, for that introduction. And I'm sure I've interacted with most of you folks before at the Advantage India Summit, actually. So some of you know me, and I also know some of you as well. Let's get started. So first of all, what exactly is the link between cybersecurity and sustainable development, which is something which is not so often discussed, because right now we are exploring various dimensions of sustainable development itself. So it has not come down to that level where we are actually bringing in cybersecurity as a component of sustainable development, because these links have not been clearly established, which is one of the reasons why I'm here and I'm speaking to all of you, just to highlight this aspect. So this is where I'd like to start. So this is one of the radar establishments in a Southeast Asian country. What has happened here actually is that now radars are quite heavily fortified as far as security is concerned. You didn't really expect a radar facility actually to be hacked, but that's exactly what happened to this particular installation, where we found a malware which is getting triggered every time the radar was shut down for maintenance and other operations actually, which is quite surprising and shocking, because if you look at the level of sophistication that has come in over here, quite shocking and scary as well. Not just in terms of the facility, but also in terms of the complexity of the malware, which was actually functioning and siphoning data out of this radar facility that we observed actually. So quite interesting and surprising as well. This is something I came across on the net while I was doing a bit of research. This is how you apparently hack a satellite. So here they're specifically speaking about hacking the communication bit of it, because it's been told there that the communication aspect of satellites between the Earth station and the satellite, the communication that goes back and forth, at least in some instances, are not encrypted and they're open for hacking as well. So you could imagine what someone could do once they take control of that, the content that's going back and forth. Oh, this is another interesting example actually of the coast of Africa. In this instance, what happened was the hackers were a bunch of pirates. They weren't even, the sophisticated hackers that you would normally see in other instances of hacking. What they did is they actually attacked this floating rig, which is off the coast of a ONG major, and they caused it to tilt dangerously. So causing enormous amount of losses there. Typically, you wouldn't expect pirates to indulge in this kind of work, but here is what they have done. So that really shows how democratized hacking has really become, and what are the kind of actors who are getting active as far as hacking goes. Coming to cities, so this is what happened in Dallas, where approximately 150 sirens, public air raid sirens, were actually hacked into. The hackers luckily just wanted to prove a point, basically, that these systems could be hacked into, and there was widespread pandemonium and chaos. This happened in April 2017, yeah, that's the year and that's the time, and caused a lot of chaos. A lot of people started calling into 911, and there were about 4,400 calls which were registered in a very short period of time. Absolute chaos, but luckily Dallas has learned a lesson from this, is what I have been told. This is what Atlanta faced, again somewhere around April or March of the same year. This is what they put out on Twitter after the outage actually happened, where a lot of municipal systems for payment of various taxes and other facilities went offline for a considerable period of time. And the saddest part here is Atlanta had to spend somewhere close to $2.5 million to actually, initiate a cyber resilience plan to come out of the damage that this incident had caused, which included, I think, a significant component of communication costs as well, to assure citizens that these facilities have been fixed and that they will not be hacked in the near future actually. So they were in this particular instance, they were also asked to pay a ransom of 50,000 USD in Bitcoins. So that brings in the revenue dimension, that the hackers are definitely chasing some money as well here. So this is why everyone gets hacked, cities and we individuals sitting here, all of us. everyone wants your data. This is what most of us must have seen and heard, like about a couple of days back, wherein a social media, major is indulging in something. Again, this is pure speculation. This is something a researcher actually found out, that it's possible that these images could be taken out of context and might help insurers and others figure out how you age over a period of time, to figure out what kind of healthcare related challenges you might face in the next 10 years, just based on how you change as a person. Yeah, Jose is laughing, that. So this is the monetary value. Again, this is for US. We don't have data for India, so you'll have to pardon me for that. But just gives you an idea of, what's the kind of numbers associated with even things like driver's license, which you would think, why would anybody be interested in my driver's license? But obviously there's a dollar value associated with that. Oh, and they started recruiting, by the way. This is a formal ad that one of the hacker groups put out there on the dark web, calling for, hackers. And these were the number of significant cyber incidents that happened since 2006. So if you notice, there's a clear imbalance between the number of times these countries were victims and the number of times these countries actually were the perpetrators of some cyber incident. Again, a very telling sort of a statistic. You can look at certain countries and know where exactly their priorities really lie. Again, major cyber incidents. And this is more about, factoring in where cybersecurity stands or cyber attacks stand as far as the risks that cities are exposed to are concerned. More detail, the top cities of the world and how much do they tend to lose. Approximately $36 billion, 36.7 if I remember right, is what these cities will collectively lose due to cyber attacks. Some of them, like Tokyo, for instance, Tokyo has only two disasters or two major risks. One is natural disasters and the other is cyber attack. There we are. And when it comes to India, we are definitely not prepared for either natural disasters or cyber attacks for that matter. We have been lucky so far because we have just had one instance of a major attack, which is again a speculation. There is this school of thought which believes the 2012 outage was caused by a cyber attack. Basically, these relays were made to fail somewhere in Agra, in UP. Again, this is slightly in the realm of speculation, but this has been confirmed by one of the professors who I met and spoke to in November. He's from IIT, and he holds this theory to his heart, actually. So, see, these are the few reasons why we are not able to really do anything. There is, of course, the lack of testing. And look at the number 4 point there, which speaks about the lack of emergency response. Again, the resilience factor is totally not there. How do we recover from an attack? How do we really jump back on our feet so that, vital services in cities and even in enterprises are not really affected? So this is what the 9/11 Commission wrote, actually, or rather George Tenet, who was the CIA director in that time frame, wrote in the 9/11 report in 2006 that around August 2001, before the 9/11 attacks took place, the system was blinking red. And now you look at what is happening so many years down the line, the system is still blinking red. And it's not blinking red because of terrorist attacks, as in incidents of the level of 9/11, but it's because of cyber attacks. So US is really sitting on a time bomb as we speak. And it's no different for any of us either, for that matter. And this is where I connect cybersecurity and sustainability quickly, because I think I'm running out of time. So these are the various reasons why we should be really worried about cybersecurity really creating a problem as far as our sustainable development roadmap for cities is concerned, or sustainable growth is concerned. For us to promote or to arrive at a equitable growth roadmap for cities, it's very important that we have adequate budgetary allocation for everything that these cities are all about, be it citizen services or anything else, healthcare. And a cyber attack, what it does is it takes away that monetary comfort that is available to these cities. And I believe that's really a dangerous thing to have as far as at least emerging countries are concerned. Because what happens typically there is that once this budget goes out, you really don't have anything to allocate for sustainable development or to ensure a sustainable roadmap is established and followed. I'll skip this. Okay, this is my last slide. So this is just to put in a personal perspective here that at least when I was growing up in different parts of India, power cut was, I don't know how many of you know about this phenomenon of power cut, which is basically the electricity used to be shut down for a period of time. And people were used to it during those days. It used to go in the night, it used to go sometime in the day, and life used to come to a slight standstill around that period in time. And unfortunately, this is after I have grown up. This is an image from 2012 when the power outage took place. This is somewhere near Delhi, actually. So what I'm trying to say in this particular image is that we have not these dangers have not gone away, and we could still have massive disruptions that could take place, which will not just cause a lot of discomfort, but also cause these cities and their entire roadmap and plans for development, growth, and equitable growth for that matter to be absolutely derailed. So this is something that we really need to avoid. We need to bring this relationship between cybersecurity and sustainable development and sustainable growth and have these conversations put up in public in countries like India, where we are taking security for granted, which is what we have so far seen. So let's not go back to these ages. Let's ensure that the generation that is growing up now has never had to see this kind of image ever in their lives. So that is something we owe to them, and that's something we need to work towards as well. And finally, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll be available for questions at the end of this particular session. And thanks a lot for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you.